Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're out on the river today and I figured I might try to do some more how-to videos for you guys this year, and the first one of that series is going to be how to catch trout on spinners. Spinners have been around for a long time. There's a bunch of different brands and we can kind of dive into that a little bit later, but the first thing that we're going to talk about is what you need for a rod reel setup like that. So what I'm using today is a 7-foot ultralight. This is a JT Panhandler. This is a very high-end rod, so if you guys do want to check out this rod, it's always linked in the description below, and it's a promo code for you guys to use. But this is my favorite trout rod, and anything from a 6'6" to 7-foot ultralight rod is going to be perfect for pretty much any type of trout fishing, unless you get into some really technique specific stuff. So if you're on a smaller stream like we are today, I mean even half the size of this stream, you can downsize. You could even use a rod like this. This is like a 4'6" little micro series rod, but personal preference. If you're gonna try to be versatile and fish a bunch of different techniques, then the 7-foot or 6'6" is a really good choice. And the reel selection, that's also a little bit personal preference. Usually anywhere from like a 1500 to a 2500 size spool reel will really work well. I have on this rod right now the Fluger Supreme XT reel. I believe that's the 2000 size. This is the Shimano Stratic CI4 Plus 2500 size. That's a good reel as well. A little bit bigger, holds a little bit more line, but still a great, it's one of their top end reels. So Shimano makes a really good reel. Even their low end reels are really nice, so you can pick up a 2500 size, 2000 size pretty easily. So line choice, that's also a personal preference as well. A lot of guys like mono, a lot of guys like braid, and some guys even like fluorocarbon. I don't like fluorocarbon because I have a hard time managing it on my reels for some reason. You have to go pretty light for it to stay manageable on this reel, because it has the memory and it kind of wants to just coil off your reel all the time. So what I like is either mono or braided line. And on here I have a P line, and I'm going to link all of this stuff in the description for you guys to find. All the the specific brand and stuff that I use, but it's basically a 10-pound test braided line. And whenever you use braided line, you always want to use a little bumper on the end of that. So I have this clear line here, about 6 feet or so, of 8 or 6 pound fluorocarbon on the end of that, and you just tie it with whatever knot you want. Just look up leader to braid knot, and you can use whatever one you want. So 10-pound braided line with anywhere from a 4 to 8 pound fluorocarbon leader. And some guys like mono on this little reel here. I have mono on there. Same thing, anywhere from a 4 to 8 pound mono works well. You don't have to use a leader or anything like that. But I will tell you that the 10-pound braid gives you way more sensitivity. You're gonna feel every little nick, every little nibble, any little strike. Even if you're ticking bottom, you can feel the blade on that spinner spin around, make sure the action's working really well. So really highly recommend using braid. It lasts a lot longer, and with that 10-pound you can still break it off easily if you get snagged somewhere. I think spinners are probably the most versatile trout bait as far as like a moving bait. You can fish these things in shallow water, deep water, fast-moving water, ponds, small creeks. You can fish them fast, you can fish them slow. They're just really versatile. Alright guys, so here's a bunch of different brands of spinners. One thing I will note is that when you buy these from a store, generally they're going to have a treble hook on it. I just switched all these over. My personal preference, I like fishing with single hooks instead. And these are, some of these hooks are actually a little bit big for these baits, but this is my old gear. I don't really use these much anymore. I make my own spinners now and sell them, so we'll show you those in a little bit here. But so anyways, just remember that they're going to come with a treble hook, and that's perfectly fine. So Blue Fox is a very popular brand here. These are Blue Foxes, a couple different sizes, a couple different colors. This is also a Blue Fox here. It's just got kind of like a minnow body on it, a brown trout body, and it kind of floats a little bit. But this one here is a Mepps. Mepps is really popular too. This one you can see has a little bit different blade from all the rest, and they come in different shapes and sizes, all different blade designs. This one's an inline blade here. so there's no clevis or anything. It just rotates around the shaft of the spinner itself. This is a rooster tail. A lot of people start out with these. They're really cheap to get a hold of. I don't really like these all that much. They're pretty lightweight, but they do work, and you can get them pretty cheap in a bulk package. So this is a size 1 blade here. That's about as big as I really like to go for trout. So to reduce line twist, because this thing is constantly spinning around and it's rotating on your line, if you don't have a swivel above this, you're going to get a bunch of bird's nests over time. It's going to twist your line all up, and when you go to cast, you're going to get a bird's nest, and it's going to be a complete mess. So what a lot of people do to remedy that is they take these small snap swivels here and just tie your line directly to that, and then clip this right on the end of the spinner like that. And that way it also makes it easier to switch out spinners really quick. You just unclip it, clip another one on. The other way you could do it is if you wanted to go, you know, a few feet above your spinner, like if you're running a leader or something, you can just put on a small barrel swivel from, if you're running braid, just tie this to your braid and then tie your leader to that, and then tie your leader directly to the swivel, to the spinner. So with the Everett lures that I make and sell, I build these with a swivel built right into the head of the spinner itself, so you don't have to use any type of snap swivel or anything like that on your main line, and it just reduces the overall profile of the bait. Alright, so now we're going to talk about how you actually fish a spinner. So we'll start with ponds because that's probably the easiest. So usually in a pond, what I like to do is I size up my gear a little bit. I use a 1/4 ounce spinner with the bigger size 2 blade on there. If you don't know where to start when you get to a pond, always look for the cold water inlet and outlet, because that's where a lot of fish kind of hang out. That's where a lot of food, bait, bugs, and activity like that come down through, and it's where a lot of fish either go to spawn or false spawn during certain times of the year. So those are good places to check. Also, you know, boat ramps. Boat ramps can be good, especially in stocked ponds, because that's, you know, generally where they drop the fish off when they stock. So, and those fish will really hang around for quite a while until they kind of acclimate to everything and you know, spread out. So how I fish a spinner in a pond, one of the ways is just give it one big bomb cast as far as you can to cover some water. Let that spinner sink all the way to the bottom of the pond or pretty close to it, and then you want to engage the blade on that spinner. And how you do that is basically either giving your rod a little twitch and cranking down your handle a little bit faster than you would normally reel, and that spinner will start to engage, and you should feel that through the tip of your rod. Once that's engaged, you can just do a steady retrieve, slow down your cadence a little bit on the reel, and then bring the spinner right back to you. So the other way I kind of like to fish spinners is, and I do this with spoons too, and crankbaits, is like a twitch pause retrieve. So basically same thing, bomb cast the thing out there, let it sink to the bottom. You do a couple twitches and then you reel up your slack, and then as you're reeling you just kind of twitch that bait along. So you don't really slow down your reel, you just kind of twitch it every now and then, give it like a twitch, and then keep reeling. It kind of makes that spinner kind of flap around a little bit, and that really gets a lot of bites for me sometimes. Other places you can check out while fishing ponds are areas with structure. So big boulders, laydowns, logs, trees, things like that, and steep banks. You can cast parallel with the shore along a steep bank, and sometimes fish will be holding in there, you know, zipping through, corralling bait fish, smelt, things like that. With the smaller streams and creeks, you're going to want to use the smaller spinners. And what you want to do to locate the fish is you want to find runs and riffles, and this is where a lot of the fish are going to be holding. And I made a pretty good video about this a while ago about fishing seams, and we'll put that right up here so you guys can find that. And it kind of talks about where to find fish and where they kind of hold. So you're going to want to find these runs. They're going to be fairly small in little creeks. Cast into that run, let it drift right along the seam there. Oh, I just had a hit. So I'm casting into this riffle here, letting the current take it downstream, and it kind of naturally just falls right into the seam, and then you can reel it back. And you can see down here there's kind of two seams. I'm going to cast right into the crotch of that and kind of just troll it real slow, bring it back real slow, let the current actually, spin that blade for you. There's one. So what you want to usually do is be downstream at like a 45-degree angle, cast up to the top of the run, and let the bait kind of drift down through as you're reeling it in. Cast different distances. I usually start at cast closer to myself and then further and further and further. Sometimes the runs are so small that you can't really do that, so the best way to fish those is to actually wade out into the stream if you can get there, onto a rock above the run. So you're looking downstream now into the hole. You flip your spinner out to the end of the pool there, and then you just keep your rod tip down and slowly reel that bait in. And you can even troll it there with the current flowing. It will just naturally get that bait spinning on its own. You can hold your rod there without even reeling. And that a lot of times will trigger some pretty good strikes. And the bait really sometimes kind of tends to fall right into the seam on its own if you let it sit there long enough. So you can kind of just troll there and then get it up to the head of the pool, and a lot of fish will be holding there. Also, you always want to check boulders and any other laydowns, just like you do in the ponds. Trout hold on structure a lot, especially in flowing water. They're going to hide behind the boulders to stay out of the current, and then anytime they see a little meal coming down through the stream, they're going to pop off into the current, grab it, and then back behind the rock. So always look at those spots and fish really close, tight to structure. So fishing the larger flowing water, like I said, it's going to be very similar to fishing the small creeks and streams. You're just going to scale it up a little bit. You're going to use those bigger spinners. You can still use the smaller spinners, but the larger ones, the 1/4 ounce, are going to cast a little bit further for you. Maybe it'll cover a little bit more water, depending on how big a water you're fishing, obviously. But you want to fish it the same. If you have a really big run, you can cast up to it's just like fly fishing. You want to cast upstream, and I like to let my spinner drift without even really reeling that much. I mostly just pick up the slack as that spinner drifts down through the run, and when it gets close to the end of the run, then put your rod tip down and start reeling it in. And at that point you can either troll it, you can hold it right there and troll the spinner, or you can just reel it back slowly. Other ways to fish that is, again, cast upstream into the top of the run and slowly work it back to you. I'd like to do like a hopping motion, a twitch, and reel the slack up. What I like to do is I'll get to the river and I'll make my first few casts, just kind of flick it out there a little ways, nice and close, and then make a couple passes with that, flip it out another 5-10 feet beyond that, then reel that in, and then another 5-10 feet beyond that. So that way you're not making a bomb cast as soon as you get there, reeling your line in and spooking any fish that could have been potentially right in front of you there. You can look up a lot of videos on how to fish spinners in bigger water. Guys use it for steelhead fishing. They're obviously bigger spinners, but really the best thing to do is let that thing just drift down through naturally in the run, and you just kind of pick up the slack, and then once it gets to the bottom of the run, engage that thing and just have fun. Further and further. So see, I cast it out into that little run out there. This is the tail end of a run. We're on a corner here, and I'm fishing, letting it swing right down on that seam and just kind of hopping it. And then a lot of times what I like to do is I let it kind of drift down through, and then now my line is going 45 degrees downstream, and I just troll it. I just sit here and I can feel that blade kicking because I got this braid on. This rod's super sensitive, and you can feel that blade spinning on that spinner, and you just hold it there and troll it. And a lot of times I'll get strikes like that. So there's a few tips and tricks for you guys on how to get started in spinner fishing. If you guys have fished spinners your whole life, maybe this video wasn't all that helpful for you, but for the new guy that's looking to get into trout fishing and doesn't know where to start, what to do, so maybe this has helped you out. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Holy shit.